Melody Grace had always dreamed of becoming a singer. She spent years honing her craft, singing in small clubs and recording demo tapes in her tiny apartment. She had a few close friends, and her relatives, though polite, rarely paid her much attention. They saw her dreams as fanciful, something she'd eventually grow out of. But Melody knew that her voice was special, and deep down, she believed that one day the world would recognize her talent. That day came sooner than she expected. Melody's big break came when a producer discovered her at a local talent show. Within months, her single topped the charts, and Melody Grace became a household name. Her fame skyrocketed, and so did her wealth. She went from barely making ends meet to living in a luxurious mansion, driving expensive cars, and wearing designer clothes. With her newfound success, Melody suddenly found herself surrounded by people who claimed to care for her. Her once distant relatives reappeared, showering her with attention and praise. Old acquaintances, and even strangers wanted to be her friend. And then there was John, a handsome, charming man who became her boyfriend. He seemed to adore her, constantly telling her how proud he was of her success. Overwhelmed by the outpouring of love and attention, Melody believed that these people truly cared for her. She wanted to share her success with them, and so she did. She showered her relatives with lavish gifts, bought her friends expensive vacations, and spoiled John with everything he desired. Melody felt happy, surrounded by people who loved her, or so she thought. But fame is fickle, and in the world of music, new stars rise quickly, leaving others to fade. After a few years, Melody's popularity began to wane. Her songs didn't top the charts like they used to, and the media's interest in her started to dwindle. The money she had once thought would last forever started to run out as well. And as her wealth and fame faded, so did the people around her. Her relatives stopped calling, her friends became too busy to visit, and John found excuses to be away more and more until one day he left her completely. Melody was left alone in her big, empty mansion, wondering where everyone had gone. It was then that Melody realized the painful truth. The people who had surrounded her, who had claimed to love her, had only been interested in what she could give them. They had never cared for her, not really. They had cared about her money, her fame, and the status that came with being close to her. And when those things were gone, so were they. Melody was older now, and the loneliness weighed heavily on her. She spent many nights reflecting on the choices she had made, and she came to a deep understanding: following her emotions alone had led her to this place. She had been swept up in the euphoria of fame and the thrill of being loved, but she hadn't taken the time to see the truth behind the smiles and the words of affection. Now, sitting in the quiet of her home, Melody Grace realized that important decisions in life should not be made solely based on emotions. Logic, reflection, and discernment were just as crucial. She vowed to rebuild her life, but this time, she would be wiser. She would surround herself with people who loved her for who she was, not for what she could give them. And most importantly, she would listen to her heart, but she would also use her head. Though she was no longer famous or rich, Melody found a new strength in knowing that she could start again, this time on her own terms.